All right, we're going to try this a second time. Move like you know that the rules don't apply to you. Because they don't, baby. If this is finding you and resonating with you, you need to move like you know that the rules don't apply to you. Because when you know the rules don't apply to you, you act differently, okay? I just got back from a trip to Mexico and, we flew there. And if you're flying out of America, they'll do this thing when you're going through security. They'll ask for your passport, and then they'll say, and just step in front of this camera and we're going to take your picture and we're going to delete it later. But yeah, we're just going to take your picture. And so many people, they go right along and they stand in front and they let their picture be taken. And I always say opt out. I tell Billy to do that too. So, everyone else, they sit and have the picture taken, presumably because they don't realize it's not something they have to do. It's just some weird surveillance state thing. And so this last time, I was like, can I opt out of the picture? And the person's like, oh, yeah, but, we delete it. And, your picture is taken all over the, airport anyway. And I'm like, yeah, it's just about not consenting to just whatever someone tells me to do. Someone tells me to, do this thing, and I just go along with it. But, no, actually, the rules don't apply to me. I don't have to do it, so I'm not going to. And yeah, we definitely, we're taught to be such obedient rule followers. And we don't ever, have a lot of practice on disobeying. And we don't even realize how good we are at just going along with things. So if you're flying, it's really good to opt out. You don't have to have your picture taken. And yeah, so just say opt out and they'll be like, okay. Because another part of airport travel, if you have TSA pre-check or something, and something that says you don't have to take your shoes off or take your jacket off before you go get on your plane, right? If you have a TSA pre-check, and so you don't have to take your shoes off, you're not going to take your shoes off. The rule doesn't apply to you. So if the rules don't apply to you, you don't have to follow them. You move differently when you know the rules don't apply to you. So you don't go and take your shoes off when you know, because of TSA pre-check or whatever other rule, you don't need to take your shoes off. You can just go straight to your plane, right? Okay, so yeah. Look and see this week what changes when you move like you know the rules don't apply to you. And if you're traveling, opt out of getting your picture taken. You don't have to. And yeah, you want to get practice not complying, practice not consenting, not just going along with something because someone with a uniform says, do this thing. Why? No, I'm not going to. The rules don't apply to me. So you just move differently. Okay. So yeah. I was watching today or last couple of days about salarymen in Japan. It's basically you see it this, white collar worker culture where they work these crazy hours and they have to stay, at least as long as their boss does. And they have to go out for drinks afterwards and they'll, just work all these crazy hours and, everyone hates it there. I learned about this because there was a YouTube creator who, it's his thing is Tokyo Salarymen or something like that. And the Japanese word for that culture is it translates to corporate livestock. And so the guy was talking about how yeah, it's this really oppressive kind of culture where, no one protests it and no one strikes because, they don't want to inconvenience others. And it's part of this, kind of strong team player ethic. And he was also talking about how like he's just so depressed and stuff, but he, no one speaks out because the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Okay? And so I know that the rules don't apply to me, and the rules don't apply to you. And, he kind of has this assumption that like, oh, the nail that sticks out gets hammered in. But is that really true? Or is that just something that we all tell ourselves so that we don't find out what it is to be hammered back in? But I bet none of us have like an example of that person who stood up or refused or was just like, no, I'm going to opt out. I'm going to do something else. And they were hammered back into place. That hasn't happened. And it won't. No one will stop you if you do things. Like, the rules are literally only applying to the people who think they apply to them. So I was, at my old job, at my Matrix job, I worked for the government as a lawyer for Social Security. And it was wild because we have this like, like it's this like crazy, I think we have one of the safest jobs in the country. But everyone was still like, no, I don't want to talk about anything political or real, or, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I'm just gonna like do this little, and it was so wild. I was like, what are you guys talking about? I'm just going to talk about like the horrific genocide that's going on and how everyone's like ignoring it, and all of the horrific fascist, like, violent, racist stuff our government is doing. I want to talk about that with my fellow lawyers working for the government, but everyone else had in their head, there were these rules that they like couldn't break. But I just moved as if the rules didn't apply to me, because they don't. So they were all terrified that if they say the wrong thing to the wrong person, they're going to get fired. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I just know that no one's going to want to do the paperwork necessary to fire me, a litigious, autistic lawyer, who works for the government. It's just going to be a lot of hassle. And so it's cheaper to keep me. It's cheaper to keep her. It's easier to just try to appease me rather than get adversarial or litigious with me. So since I knew the rules don't apply to me, the rules about having to stay small and quiet and, fearful in the workplace, that doesn't apply to me. So I sent a bunch of emails, and I would interrupt meetings, and I would tell my boss that he was being racist and biased. And I would tell my supervisors that they were being really, sinister and biased, and how they're, choosing to, just like perform in the office, and what they choose to talk about, and, the culture that they're creating is racist and stupid and fake. So I was like, they're not going to do anything to me. And they didn't. The worst they could do and did was give me an official reprimand, which doesn't mean anything. If I wanted, I could, ask them to take it off my record in a year. So, it's just like a made up thing. And so everyone has this fear that you can't really be honest because all these consequences will happen. It's this rule that they don't want to break. But I just like tried it, and no, there's no rule. Literally nothing happened. And so, I had to see like, okay, the rules aren't really there. So, or the rules don't apply to me. So I have to break them. Well, I'm not even breaking them. They don't apply to me. So I just have to do what I want. So, moving like the rules don't apply to you. When they don't apply to you, you do what you want. So I wanted to speak up about the real shit that was going on at work. So I did. And no one stopped me. And when I realized, my voice is more powerful elsewhere, I want to leave. I did, even though the rule is that you're supposed to, keep your job until you find something else or until you have some other job lined up. But the rules don't apply to me. So I knew all I had to do was make the decision to quit my job, to want to quit my job, and the universe would figure out the rest for me. And so that's what happened. And that's what will happen for you too. Literally, the rules only apply to the people who think the rules apply to them. So if you don't think they apply to you, they don't. And so, yeah, I'm just here to be living proof of that and to help encourage you to know that no one will hammer you down if you pull yourself out. We always think like there's only one way to use a hammer, but like there's also the other way, right? Where you like work out the nail and it's like gentle and like gradual. When you find that you're sticking out of a workplace like that, your job is not to hammer yourself back in or to wait until someone hammers you in. It maybe is like, you're like, I stick out because I'm not supposed to be here. And maybe if I pull myself out, this whole operation falls apart. That's what I'm hoping. This US government is just a house of cards. So I'm like, all right, if I am a card on the lower bottom rung of this house of cards, if I just pull myself out, then the whole house of cards falls. It's Jenga rules. It's basic stuff. It's just physics. So that also works socially. And so, yeah, like a lot of people aren't going to believe it until they see it. But when you move, like, the rules don't apply to you, it just makes everything so much easier. So much of so many of us, we censor ourselves in how we express both like what we wear, how we have our hair, what we say, who we relate to, the choices we make. We do that because we have this idea that there are these rules that we can't break. And so we're like, well, I don't want this rule to come into effect. But that makes us like stay in jobs that are not for us. That makes us stay in relationships that are not for us. Because we say, so for example, like women, certainly Black women, I think we're taught to endure and have a lot of patience and to take mistreatment and to like get over it, particularly from men and Black men, but that's a made up rule. And so like, I am very much like, if someone's rude to me or makes me feel unsafe or unwanted or, minimized or whatever, I'm going to stay away from you. I'm not going to play nice. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to stay at my old Matrix job, like when I know it's like stupid and a waste of my time, blocking my blessings, making me feel bad about myself because I'm like, I'm no different from these other people who are like cowardly and fake. Why would I want to stay here? So, the only reason I would is because I told myself I had to. But like, I know I don't. Because the rules don't apply to me. And if you made it this far and this resonated with you, the rules don't apply to you either. And so if the rules don't apply to you, then you kind of have to just do your thing confidently, knowing that no one will stop you. You're the only one stopping you. So what do you want to do? So I was just like watching and reading about salarymen and just the culture of work. And I thought it was so interesting that like, it's this really oppressive, work culture in Japan, but we also have that same kind of hopeless, obedience to these like, low paying, not good jobs, that we have. And like everyone's too afraid of losing the job to protest or strike So nothing ever changes. And it's just like, and people are afraid that like, oh, something's going to happen. But like, things are just like different now. The same consequences that maybe our parents, certainly our grandparents might have had to face are not the same things that we face. We can bet on ourselves more than our parents could. The rules that like maybe kept our parents feeling safe are not going to keep us safe. That guy I was talking about, he's not Japanese, but he works in Tokyo as a salaryman. And he actually has a really successful YouTube channel that's just about like his day to day as this like depressed office worker. And he just got like a YouTube plaque because he has like almost 250,000 subscribers. And he has one video where he's like, I got, all these subscribers, but I'm still not going to quit my 9 to 5. And basically his reason is that he's afraid that he's not going to be able to be successful if he bets on himself. Which is so funny because in another video, he was like, I bet if I, put as much energy and effort into, myself as I do to my job, then I would be a very rich man. And I'm like, yeah, you would. But instead, you're spending all of your energy, doing this job that you hate. And it sucked because on that video too, so many people were like, don't quit your 9 to 5 job. Like you don't know if people are still going to support you if you're not working the 9 to 5 job, and you want to be safe. You want to make sure you're safe. And like, man, I'll have to do a thing about this in itself, but like, I think we're taught to confuse like safety and stability for actually it's like stagnation and fear. And we're afraid to bet on ourselves, and our inability to let go of this job that we hate, this relationship that we hate, is blocking our blessings. We're telling ourselves it's the best we can do when it's not. And if you're like, oh, well, the rules say this, or like, this is how, like, no, the rules don't apply to you. So it's crazy to keep following them when they don't even apply to you. They're not for you. So anyway, this is my second time giving this message because it's so important. The powers that were don't want you to receive this information. But if you made it this far, give me an angel, because you're just such a sweet angel baby and the rules don't apply to you. You're not just a mere mortal, and you can move like the rules don't apply to you. So try that this week. Know that like every time you're like, oh no, like if I do this, there'll be this consequence. Really consider if there really is that consequence. Maybe the rule actually doesn't apply to you. And if it doesn't apply to you, that means you're supposed to do what you want, because no one's going to stop you because the rule doesn't apply to you. You have TSA pre-check. You don't have to take off your shoes. So don't take off your shoes. So whatever the equivalent of that is in your life this week. Yeah. Test them rules. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So give me angel, and yeah, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Yeah, I'm going to get on a bunch more tomorrow. And yeah, if you guys are starting the week, your 9 to 5s, good luck. But also, it's supposed to be easy. So if you wake up every day dreading going to work, you have to drag yourself there. You have to like drink all these coffees and barely stay awake, and you hate it and you're exhausted at the end of the day. Consider it's because you're in the wrong place. And the divine is going to make it difficult for you until you do the brave, thing that breaks the rules that you know you're supposed to do. Be it quit your job and start a business, a spiritual business, or otherwise. Yeah, get out of there. Yeah. That's what I got. All right. I love you guys so much. Bring your forehead up against your screen. Press your screen against your forehead. Okay? I love you. And this is all made up. Okay? So, yeah. Move like you know the rules don't apply to you. Like you're Beyonce or Jeff Bezos or, Jesus or an angel or someone who can just do whatever they want. Because you can. No one will stop you. Okay. I love you. Like, comment, subscribe, and tap that bell so that you can get a notification for when I come on and bring you these gems, this wisdom. My name's Sheba also. Did I introduce myself? Hello, my name's Sheba. This is my channel, See Like Sheba. And yeah, we'll see you soon. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Salam. Yalla bye, babies.